I bet you didn't know your phone can act like a vending machine for data. You tap, you scroll, you smile. Then something else gets paid somewhere. Not a hacker in a dark room, but a data broker chain in plain sight. Convenience feels friendly until it becomes a lever someone else holds. First, a simple question. What do you think your phone is doing all day? It tracks location, listens to usage patterns, and measures what you ignore. Now add the missing middle, the broker that buys, organizes, and resells that signal. A data broker isn't a person you can confront at a door. It's an ecosystem, providers, partners, ad networks, and profile systems. And your phone is one of the easiest suppliers because it's always with you. I bet you didn't know the word personalized can mean priced. Same product, different price, different options, based on what they think you are. But the real product isn't ads, it's your behavior converted into a profile. A broker can combine signals from multiple apps you don't even remember using. Your gallery photos might be private, yet your device movement is useful. Your browsing might feel like a casual pastime, but it becomes classification. Classification is where convenience becomes control, without raising alarms. Think of it like sorting mail, except the letters are you. Now picture the envelope leaving your hands before you even open the door. That's what background sharing feels like. Silent handoff, instant tracking. Most people check permissions once, then trust the default forever. But defaults are written for business, not for your boundaries. I bet you didn't know the broker side often works through partners you can't name. You install an app for weather, and the data goes into a bigger trading map. You order food, and your eating patterns get labeled and resold. You search one thing at midnight, and suddenly that fear becomes a tag. A tag sounds harmless, like a label on a shelf. But tags decide what you see next, and what you never notice. Control rarely announces itself. It arrives as relevance. I bet you didn't know engagement is a steering wheel, not a mirror. They test what makes you click, then shift the environment around you. The data broker helps keep that steering wheel supplied with fresh fuel. So when you say, "My phone is personal," the broker hears your profile is valuable. And value creates pressure, more data, more partners, more tightening. Here's the part that stings. You often don't get to opt out of being inferred. You can deny access to a sensor, but your patterns may still leak. Motion, timing, device IDs, and network behavior can be enough to recognize you. Even when they don't name you, they assign you a shape in the system. A shape can be powerful. It can predict what you'll do before you do it. I bet you didn't know prediction is how demand gets manufactured. They don't just respond to your needs. They can amplify them into wants. And once those wants align with a broker's labels, control becomes frictionless. So what does the broker actually do with phone data? It collects, links, cleans, and sells access to the profile, like a library card. The buyer might be an advertiser, an app partner, or a risk system. But the pattern is the same. Your life becomes a purchasable data set. If you've ever wondered why random ads follow you everywhere, here's why. It's not one ad. It's a persistent identity sitting behind the scenes. That identity can outlive a password, a phone swap, even a factory reset, because resetting doesn't erase the habits they already learned about you. I bet you didn't know your contacts can be part of the broker's puzzle too. When you message people, networks capture patterns that describe relationships. Relationships can be categorized, bundled, and marketed without anyone asking permission. So the broker turns your convenience into a map of social influence. Influence is power, especially when it's delivered at the right moment. A notification can feel like fate. It can also be scheduled persuasion. I bet you didn't know privacy settings don't always reach the broker's doorstep. Some data paths bypass the settings you remember changing, and some permissions only control the headline features, not the background signals. This is why consent can feel fake, like checking a box on a form you can't read. The broker doesn't need to break your trust. It just needs to sell it back. Now let's talk about the stakes. What happens when the profile is wrong? Wrong labels can mean missed deals, denied opportunities, or manipulated choices. You might never know the reason, because the decision lives in systems you don't see. And when the system is opaque, correction becomes a scavenger hunt. I bet you didn't know data quality is often your disadvantage, not their fix. The broker benefits from ambiguity because uncertainty increases demand for more data. So every update, every new sensor, every extra permission becomes a new revenue stream. Convenience stops being a feature and becomes a contract you can't fully read. Then control arrives quietly. The wrong messages, the right timing, the customized path. I bet you didn't know the data broker can influence what's available to you online. It can make certain content easier to reach and other content harder to find. That means your freedom of choice can shrink without any obvious censorship. Because control doesn't always block doors, it sometimes reroutes you. So how do you defend against a broker you can't point to? Start with awareness. Assume the free app costs more than data itself. Watch for patterns, repeated ads, sudden price shifts, and oddly consistent targeting. If it feels too sticky, that stickiness is likely broker identity persistence. Then reduce the supply, limit background activity, and location sharing where you can. Don't treat permissions like a one-time ceremony. Treat them like guardrails. Use fewer data rewarding habits, fewer risky logins, fewer always.